Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. And in this video, we are going to cover entire manual testing in one video, one single video. So, like based on my previous video, there were requests regarding notes and everything. So I have designed this course in such a way that it will cover each and every part. And before starting, I want to like share the syllabus on what topics which you will be going to cover in this video. And for optimum like output, switch to 1.5 speed. That will save your time. And if you want to like want want me to create this video in Hindi, just comment down below and I'll like make the same video in Hindi also. That will help others. And before like coming to in conclusion, I'll suggest you to at least go through each and every module. And I have designed it in such a way that I have divided this whole syllabus in three modules. So before starting, let us cover that what we are going to cover. It's kind of a teaser. So like first we are going to cover what is testing and why is it required. And also guys, this is an interview based video, so that like with a single video you are ready to face any interview. Okay, and all the important topics, I have covered everything in a single video. After that, we are going to cover software development lifecycle and like what each and every phase means and what are the output of everyone. After that, we are going to cover SDLC model. Like these are the famous models which are generally asked in the interview. And after that, we are going to cover Agile in third module. Okay, then we are going to cover functional and non-functional testing. We are going to cover each and every like part, what does it actually means, and the differences between each and every one of them, like performance testing and scalability testing. These are very common terms. After that, we are going to cover software testing lifecycle and bug lifecycle. Again, this is very important from interview point of view. Okay, in our second module, like in the same video, so we are going to cover very famous differences. After that, we are going to cover Agile, like why it was introduced, types, and how we use it in our daily like stand-ups and everything. After that, like we are going to create test case for a pen or for a lift. Let's see. And after that, like the differences between a test plan, test strategy, and how to design a test case. Okay, so I think like this is the very basic which you need to cover in order to appear for an interview. And I'll suggest you to at least go through it once. And if you don't understand any point, just comment down. And what I'll do is that like I'll make a separate video for like detailed separate video, or let's say software testing life cycle. And any point, any topic which you don't understand, we are going to cover it in more details afterwards. Okay, and don't forget to check out the description box so that like the future videos I'll update it over there. Okay, so let's start. So the first question which you're going to face is, what is testing? So everyone is going to tell the definition, but you should yourself understand like what is testing. Okay, so let us, before understanding this, let us take an example that you have got an order for a car. Okay, and then you are going to, like your other team is going to develop, and then you are going to test it. So, software testing is a method to check whether the actual software product matches the expected requirements. So, this is the case of actual versus expected. So actual one is the output. So this is output. Then what is this expected? So expected is what customer has expected in the beginning when he or she gave us the order. Okay. So I hope you understand like what is this actual versus expected. And in software testing, our goal is to match this actual with this expected. So whatever the output is, it should be matching with the initial expectations with which the customer has placed the order. Okay, so that is what testing means. This is the goal of testing. Okay, and like there is one more definition, but I don't find it that much clear. So I always go with this one. Okay, and whatever your requirements in the beginning, in the end it should match it, and your output should be defect free. So these are the terms which you should mention while giving the answer. Now you should also understand like why testing is required. Okay, so in an interview, when the interviewer is going to ask you why testing is required, so everyone is going to give the answer, but your answer should be to the point and at least give 5 points. Okay, and in this you can simply tell them that this is cost effective because the earlier you find bugs, it is more easy for you, and this is going to save cost. So try to understand that, like if we find a bug in development phase. Okay, so this is a development, this is QA, and this is production. So what a development phase means when the developers are going to write the code, and this is here we are going to perform our testing, and finally the product will be to at the end of end customer. Okay, so if you find a bug here, it will be easy for you to fix it, and like there this QA will be bug free. So and if we find a bug here, then we have to go back to the development, it will consume more time. Okay, so this way you understand that this is more cost effective, and if it is found in production, then again like development has to fix it, then again the cycle continues, then we go, if it is failed in retesting, then go back to development, and finally the product is released with 1.2 version. Okay, so why, like this is the reason why testing is required. Okay, um, again like security. So the end customer should have trust in your products, and obviously like if you are an organization like Facebook or Google, where data, like even for a startup also, so data means everything, so you have to secure your data. Okay, and again like quality, so if our think it in this way that you want apple, and you are getting oranges, then obviously you will be pissed off, right? So if you need apple, then you should get apple, as simple as that. Okay, so this is why testing is required. Now coming to the software development life cycle, so everything is interrelated. What I told you that someone is going to develop it. Okay, then how this development is going to happen? Okay, I told you like someone is going to develop, then only we are going to test it. So before testing, the we should know how development take place and what all cycles are there, and further like we are going to see different kind of models. Okay, so in software development life cycle, the first phase is requirement phase. So one more thing, important thing which I want to mention here, that think it as an interview point of view, that everyone knows these steps. Okay, so how you are going to differentiate yourself from others? So try to understand what each phase is doing and what are the output of each phase. So this is an important point, and I'm going to explain it, what are the outputs, and pay attention. Okay, so firstly in the requirement phase, we gather the requirements from client or customer. Okay, so I'm going to write, we are going to gather requirement from clients, or let's say customers, and in that we are going with the basic project approach. like how we are going to approach this project, and risk associated with it. Okay, and the output of this phase is business requirement document, that is called BRS. Okay, so this is very much important for you to understand this business requirement specification. So what does it contain? It contain like how we are going to approach this project, and what are the risks associated with it, and all the requirements. After that, we come to analysis. Like once you take up a project, you have to decide, is it possible for you to even like work on it, and how you are going to decide it. uh, you are going to like meet with different stakeholders, and then we are going to decide. And in most of the cases it is possible, that's why like you have taken it. And then we are going to like maintain a SRS document. So what it will contain? It will contain all the specifications of the project, and what are the outputs of this SRS document. Okay, one more thing, like who all are associated in the requirement phase. So generally your BA. Okay, and in this phase, like who is going to analyze the project, like BA or managers. Okay, then after you decide how you are going to work on the project and everything, then you are going to work on the high level design, HLD, plus low level designs. Okay, designing part. So here the architect will come into picture. Okay, so what they will do is that it will act as an the SRS document will act as an input on this. And after that, like they are going to write the different approaches which we are going to follow. And one more thing I would like to tell is that high level design, think it in a way that like you are in customer. Okay, and you want a car. Okay, so in the first phase, in the requirement phase, what we as an organization, we want that, like what kind of car, how much the CC, like the client is going to tell us that okay, I need 1000 cc engine, and like this color should be there. Okay, green color, and all other specifications. Then in the analysis phase, we are going to analyze that whether this model, are we going to like, is it possible for us to make this model, and if yes, like we will create our SRS document in the same. Now in the designing, when we are going to design it, so the high level design will contain like the body. Okay, like which design we are going to, and how the chassis is going to be. And in the low level design, all the internals, like the wiring and everything, how everything is will be interrelated. Okay, so that will be coming into the low level design. Okay, and the output of this will be design document specification. And I told you like all the architects, and in this part also like TL and managers will be associated. Then we are going to actually develop our product. Okay, with the help of like previous the design document specification and the BRS documents, we are going to start development. Okay, and after that it is pretty much simple that this is the part which on later stages will go to software testing lifecycle. Okay, and in this we are going to test the product, and after that deploy it to like UAT and then production. Some people like the deployment and maintenance also. Okay, now who is going to be working on development part? Developers, and testers are going to work in the testing part, and generally like the support team is going to support in production. Okay, so the main part is, apart from these basic like steps, you should understand like who all are getting engaged in which step and what are the outputs of every step. Okay, so output of the development will be obviously like the code, and the output of this phase will be like quality product plus test artifacts. What are the artifacts? Artifacts are like different documents like test plan, test cases, bug reports. Okay, so that we'll see in software testing lifecycle. Okay, so I hope you're able to understand the SDLC. Now, moving to the next part, like what kind of models are there. So once you understand that how software testing lifecycle work, so there are different models which support it. Okay, this very famous one, like waterfall model. So this is pretty similar to software testing lifecycle. Okay, but we will like see it in the requirement analysis phase. We are going to like gather requirements in the system design. uh, we are going to tell that how the designing, like the architect part. Okay, and after that coding or product development. This is very similar to the previous, that's why I'm not repeating actually. Okay, and like we are going to do testing here, and then finally like UIT and prod. Okay, so this is step by step, like the general what you have seen, like this is they generally put it in box, then system design, then implementation, then testing, then deployment. Okay, so I hope you understood how waterfall model works. So what are the important point is, what are the positives and negatives of this. So the positives will be that like it is very easy to understand. Okay, so generally we are asked the negatives, but like first we have to see what are the positives. Okay, and second positive can be that like all the different phases are planned and clearly defined. Okay, just like note it down if you have a notepad, so that it will be easy for you to remember. And the third point can be like um, it can be easily arranged. And the negatives are that the product is in very later stages, like till the end. Here we are going to see the product. Okay, so that is a big challenge. And in the meantime, if a client decides that okay, in place of green I want to go with red color, then we have to like start it from here, then we will move it this way, so it will increase the cost. So that's why like it's a very big negative of software like this waterfall model. Okay, so it's very basic, and we just have to see what are the different stages, and these are pretty similar to the SDLC. And in the negative, you have to see like why we don't, nowadays we don't follow the waterfall model. Okay, this is it. Now coming to the next model, V model. So this is not that much important, but still like we are going to cover it because I was asked a question, and many, like you are expected that you should know how the V model works. So I'm going to cover it in short, that where is this space, or I can rub it. Okay, let me write it down here. The V model. Okay, so this is V model. So how we are going to approach it? So the first part is the requirement gathering. Okay, so just write it down. Requirement gathering or requirement analysis. After that, like generally in waterfall model, we design it. But here, like we don't go to the next part. We parallelly write acceptance test design. Okay, and why we are going to do it, we are going to see it later. And after this, like we are going to design. And previously in waterfall model, after designing, we used to like implement. But here, like it will be architect design. And with architect design, we are going to write integration test. Okay, so after this, like we are going to design the modules, and with modules we are going to design unit test design. Okay, and here we are going to code. Okay, so after this we are going to unit test, then integration test, then system test, and acceptance testing. So if you see, like we are moving this way, this, and after this code, and we are moving this way. Okay, what waterfall model was, it was moving this way. So if you see, it is forming a V kind of shape. Here we are doing verification. Okay, and here we are validating. How we are validating? With the help of test cases, which we write after. And how we write the test cases? That the middle part, like these things, these are the planning phase. Okay, and here we do coding. So now, like the issue is, what are the negatives and positive? Okay, first let us cover the positives. So this was like, again, like waterfall model, this was simple and easy to understand. Okay, and like we are verifying and validating. So later we are going to see what these two things means, but here just understand that what are verification and validation. Okay, and after that, what are the negatives? So the same negative, that no iteration, that if we have to like change it from green to red, then again like we have to start it from here. So that's a big issue. Okay, and how did we overcome this iteration thing? We came with the spiral model. Okay, again, like I'm not going to cover it in that much detail, or probably we can make another video. Don't forget to check out the description box. But let us understand that how spiral model works. Okay, so there are four quadrants. In the first quadrant, your requirement gathering phase will be there, and after that we are going to design, then code, then test and deploy. Okay, so this is your one iteration. Okay, and after your one iteration you have some output. And if client says that, okay, I'm not happy with this output, then we are going to do a one more round of the same thing. Okay, so after like three or four iterations, the desired output or product will be achieved, and like this way we have overcome the problem of changing requirements in between the designing. Okay, so this was the big positive. And what was the negative of a spiral model is that too much of like risk management was there, risk analysis. Okay, and with each iteration you are going to increase the cost of product. So the negative is with each iteration like the cost goes up, so you have to keep it in mind. Okay, and how we overcome this, overcome this by using agile, and we are going to see agile in a different module. Okay, so I hope, like, see, once again repeating, everything is interrelated. Like we started with testing. Okay, that why testing is required and how we do testing. Then to understand testing we have to first understood how um, software development lifecycle works, like how we are going to develop and like product a software. Okay, ship a software. And in this, like what are the different kind of models are there, what was the negative waterfall model that V model improved, and how we actually improved the V model by using spiral model. Okay, and how the negatives of spiral model were improved in agile. Okay, this is the thing which we follow nowadays. Okay, so once we are okay with this part, we are moving like to the next part, that levels of testing. Okay, so like there are two, like functional. First we'll cover the functional and after that non-functional. So again repeating guys, like everyone knows what like unit integration, system and UAT testing, but you have to understand who does that and what is the output, everything. Okay, so first understand that, then after that try to learn it. Okay, so what is like unit test? So developers when they write code, okay, so they work on module. If we have to like make a home, obviously we are going to start with a single room. Okay, so when you are going to develop a single room, then how it is behaving, that is like, yeah, unit level testing. And who does it? It is done by the developers. So this is a very famous interview question, and most of the guys they think that like unit testing or module testing is done by QA. But like nowadays SDET also do that, but let's not mix up things. And for the sake of interview, like go with the development, that's the best answer. Now once you made four rooms, okay, how the entry and exit of each room is connected and everything will be covered in the integration part. Okay, so different part of system in combination, and how the data is flowing one module to another. Okay, similarly the example I gave it to you, that if we have four rooms, then how like we are going to enter and exit the room, and what is the process follow. Okay, now in the end, like when you're done with the lighting and everything, so you are going to test your whole house, your whole product end to end, like from water flow to your electricity to everything. Okay, and the user acceptance testing, when the like the actual user, when he's going to accept the product. So obviously, like when you take a delivery of the car, you do a pre-inspection. So this is kind of the same thing. Okay. And if all specifications are met, then the customer is going to accept. Otherwise, like he is going to reject, and we have to again like see the same cycle of what we have covered before. Okay. Now the different kind of non-functional testings. The first one is performance testing. Although there are like more than that, but what I have covered are the major ones. Like every website you will visit, you will find couple of them, but these are generally which are asked in the interviews. So in this, like performance testing, what first we exercise a system that measures the response time, stability, and scalability. What is scalability? That how the system is going to scale. By scale means, let's say right now we have our website for 10 users, then how it is going to behave for 100, and then how it is going to behave for 1000 users. So that is like scalability. Okay, and the response time means, let's say if 10 users are accessing our website, what is the response time for them? Let's say 1 second. And after that, when 100 users at the same time when they access our website, so how the response time ideally should be like either 1 or 1.1. Okay, if it is going to 2, that means like you should know, you should like improve your system to handle like different users. Okay, now by name, like load testing also looks like that it is performance, but it is not. Okay, so what load testing is, that how it, like we have to find the peak. So this is the kind of graph, and we have to look out for this position. Okay, so this is the like load which is going to be taken by the application, and how it is going to behave at this point. That is like we are interested in. Okay, now coming to the security testing, that this is also like finding bugs where, like what kind of vulnerability are there. Okay, like more related to the user data, and it is also like related to APIs, that if one module is communicating with the other, in between there is like it should be end-to-end protected, and we should not be able to inject data in between the request. Okay, and coming to the usability testing, so this is how our system is designed for different kind of users. So if someone is colorblind, so what kind of colors? So this is the reason why most of the like social media platforms are blue in color, just to like support those who are colorblind. I don't know why, whether like the colorblinds are able to see blue or not, but this was one of the reasons for it. Okay, and if you see, if you have seen in the Google homepage, so there is like search through voice. So that is also a kind of usability testing, because in there, like those guys who can't like write, so they can just speech to voice. So this is something like which we have to like test. And one more example of usability testing is, let's say, how easily it is to find all the important links and everything. So these are some of the major like important non-functional test. After that, we are going to cover software testing lifecycle. This is again a very important part. Now, like before reading it, if you remember in the software development lifecycle, there was this part. Okay, so now we are going to see how, as a tester, we are going to design our test cases and test the application, because after all we are the QAs. Okay, so again repeating guys, that everyone knows these steps, but what goes inside each and every step you should be aware, and who perform what action and what are the output of each and every stage is what important and what you should understand. Okay, so similarly, like in the software testing, like software development lifecycle, we have to gather the requirements, and like all the stakeholders are going to gather the requirements, functional and non-functional. Okay, and in this we are going to also like see automation feasibility report, whether automation is possible or not in this stage itself. And in the test planning phase, this is done generally like by manager or senior TLs. In this, we have to define the effort and cost, how much effort team is going to put and how much cost it will be to the company. Okay, and what all resources which will be needed, some kind of like environments, what kind of different tools which we are going to use. So let's write tool selection. Okay, and after this, the output of this will be test strategy. We are going to define test strategy in this phase. After that, we are going to develop the test cases. These are generally like done by mid to senior, like mid guys. By mid guys, I mean uh, QAs and senior QAs. Okay, and once like after writing it, get it reviewed and prepare test data. So what is the output of this? We should be ready with the test case and test data. And if we are working on automation, then scripts. In the environmental setup, we are going to like prepare our environment just like before baking a cake, we preheat the oven. So here also like we should be ready with everything. It should not be that once we have got the build and after that we are setting up the environment. Okay. So here you should be environment ready. All the tools should be installed. Okay. And if there are any kind of scripts, so that should be ready. So here like environment should be ready. In the text execution, we are going to execute the test cases which we have wrote here. So all the test cases which we developed in the test case development phase. So we are going to execute these test case, and in case we find the bug, we are going to like raise it, give it back to the development, and how this process follows, we are going to cover it next, the bug life cycle. Okay, so don't worry regarding that. And in the test execution part, like once it is completed, so we should be like the output of this phase should be test cases with updated results. Okay, updated results plus the defect report. So what all the defects which you have raised, so upload it. And how we are going to close our test case, like we have to evaluate the either like the time should get over. Okay, because there will no point be in time when you're going to say that okay, this is 100% bug free application. This is not going to happen. But again, like on this behalf, at some moment you have to like close your test cases. Okay, so like the test case metrics should be which we have developed, so we are going to close it based on that, and test closure report should be attached. Closure report. Okay, so like these are some basic things on based of which we are going to like sign off our build. Now the next part is once you have raised a bug, how we are going to like what are the process it follow. Okay, so once you have raised a bug, so we are at here, and you are going to raise the bug maybe to your TL and or to your manager. Like it depends from organization. Either you can directly, if you know the developer, you can assign it directly. Okay, but QA like raises a defect. A developer can also raise a defect, but that's like the ideal answer should be a QA. And in on what cases it can be rejected? Maybe it is duplicate or it is not a valid bug, so that developer or BA is going to decide it. Now, if it is accepted, then it will be in an open state, and at this moment, it will be with the developer. Okay, and the developer can reject it based on like if it is not a valid functionality. And once a developer fix the bug, it is going to again like come back to a QA, and then we have to like QA is going to retest it, and if it is passed, then we are going to close the bug. Otherwise, we are going to reopen, and it will like once reopen, it will get back to dev. Okay, and then dev will going to work, and then he's going to fix the bug. Okay, so I hope with this, like you are good with the bug life cycle. Now coming to the second module, in this we are going to like have very important comparisons. So like this is one of the all-time favorite questions, the difference between regression and retesting. So to understand this, let's go back and see this bug life cycle. Okay, so in this bug life cycle, uh, once the bug is fixed, so here you can see retesting. Okay, so retesting simply means like testing the bug. Okay, whatever like the bug you have created, just recreate it. So that was the term I was looking for. Recreate the bug. Okay, but in regression, you have to see the other areas also. Okay, so I'm putting a star and other areas that can be affected by the bug. So for example, let me like give you an example that if in a Google search page this search bar is not working. So if this search bar is working, after that you have to see that on the landing page like the results are correct, like the click button is working or not. So these are the regression, and the retesting will contain uh, that you are not able to like enter in this search field. Okay, so this is an example of regression versus retesting. Again, very important question, verification versus validation. So like initially I was also confused in this, but later like how I remembered the difference between these two. So verification is, are you building the product right? So it is more related to the process which you are following. Okay, so the process while developing the product. Okay, more towards BA side. And the validation is, are you building the right product? So that means like whatever the end product is, so is it right? So this is more towards testing side. And if you see like let's go back and try to like recall it in the V model. Okay, so in the V model, what we have seen is that like this verification part. So this is more towards designing that how we are going to do work. Okay, and in the validation, this was test cases. So I hope you are able to understand the difference between two. So if we have to like see an example of this, so if we have to create a pen, so the process of developing a pen, are we following the right process? Okay, so this is verification. And if the customer demands a red pen and we are making green pen, then the validation will fail. Okay, although we are making a pen, everything is correct, the process of making a pen is correct, but if the end product is not good, then validation is going to be failed. Okay, and there can be a scenario in which validation is passed but the verification is not correct. Okay, so that is like an internal issue, but again, like if validation is failed, that's a big issue. Okay, so I hope the difference is clear to you. Now coming to alpha and beta testing. Again, like all these differences are coming from our previous understanding that once the product is shipped, ready to be shipped, okay, then the user acceptance testing. So let me go back and see here. So this is a beta testing, okay, and just before that, in our closed environment, so we are going to do an alpha testing. So remember this classic difference is that the alpha testing is done at the client side. No, sorry, alpha testing is done in-house. So like whosoever the developers or BA or anyone like within the organization, we are doing alpha testing. And the beta testing in is done in such a way that initially you release the product for 10, then after that you increase the count and release it to 100 and then for everyone else. Okay, so this is the difference between alpha testing and beta testing. Coming to static and dynamic testing. So static testing is more towards the functional part. So whatever the code we are writing down, so, okay. So that is related to this, and the dynamic testing is once we are ready with the product. So whatever the testing we are going to perform on the end product, like performance or load testing, so that is more of a dynamic testing. Now coming to load and performance testing. So we have again covered it before, where it was, see here. So the performance testing here is more towards like how the system is responding, like once we put it in the designated measures. So how, like what is the response time and this stability and the scalability, we have understood like how we are going to scale it, and similarly like how we are going to perform the load test. Okay, so like we draw this graph in that, like there was this point in which the system is going to break, so we have to find this point. So that was the like output of load testing. Okay, coming to black box testing versus white box testing. So what how I used to remember is that we can't see inside the black box. Okay, so that means we no code. If we don't have any knowledge of code, that will be a black box testing, and white box means transparent, and you can look into the code. If you have knowledge of code, that means either you are an SDET or an automation engineer, so then you're going to perform the white box testing. Like you should be aware of code, and there are certain ways in which you can do a black box testing. That is like boundary value. So what's the boundary value is if you're designing a calculator and the range is like from 1 to 100. So you will like test it for -1, 0 and 1, and in this case like take it 99, 100 and 101. So if both of them are included, then this is going to fail and this is going to fail. Like this will be passed and this will be passed. Okay. Similarly, equivalence class partition. So what we used to do in this, that if we have like, we'll take the same example, that if we have made a calculator that is going to accept entries from 1 to 100, then in this case we are going to test it for 1, and then one for 50, and then one for 100. Okay, and like decision table, so it is a more of decision table is more of that if this is the input, then this is the expected output, and if this is the input, then this is the expected output. Okay, so we have made a table in such a way that we have defined our input and expected behavior. So if it is not matching, then we are, if it is matching, then true, otherwise it is false. Okay, white box testing is covered. Now coming to session versus cookies. Although this question is asked mostly to automation engineers, but like nowadays it is getting asked for manual testers also. So this is more related to API thing, that if we have a client and a server. So client in this case is us and the server is maybe Google. Okay, so whatever the data, Google is going to save it on your machine. So that will be cookie. Okay, so how I used to remember is that like I like cookies. So like me equal to cookies. That means the cookies are going to be saved in my system. Okay, and the session is the user data that is in the server side, on the server side. Okay, on the Google servers. So once I hit a request to Google, okay, then it give me is a search result. Then again a session is created. So all that session data is stored in the servers of Google. So that this is like an difference and the solution to this. Okay, after that, let's come to Agile. Now we have to understand like how Agile came into process. So for that, let's go back and revise that what was the issue with the last model which we understood. Okay, again like revising guys, like waterfall model was good, but again if we have to made a change in the in between, then it was not possible. So that was one of the biggest like turn off for us. Same was the case with V model, that if you have to like insert requirement in between, then again the process will be starting from the beginning. Coming to spiral model, it it solved that problem for us, but again the problem for us for the new problem was that more the spirals are going to revolve, the more the cost, like the radius is going to be increased and the cost will going to be increased. Okay, so that's why we have to come up in like in this also, after one iteration only a certain kind of product is out. Okay, so then the agile came into picture and solve this issue, and let's see how agile was able to solve it. Okay, so where it is, yeah, so agile is nothing but in philosophy. Okay, so this is in philosophy which believes that we have to get the output, and we don't believe in documentation, we don't believe in how you do it, but like we want the end product. Okay, and there were like 12 principles also which you can read it, or maybe the video which I am going to make like afterwards. Okay, so just see the description box. In that I'll put an video of agile whenever you will be watching, and we can cover those things there, because in this video I want to cover the basics and the important part. Okay, now Agile have some frameworks. So what frameworks are there? Like extreme programming, Kanban, like you must have heard of Kanban. If not extreme programming, then there is a Scrum, and 99% of the guys use Scrum. So what is Scrum? So Scrum is a framework that follows Agile. Okay, so this answers this question, like what's the difference between agile and scrum. Believe me guys, this is very important question, and most of the guys don't like know the difference between two. Most of the guys thinks that like scrum is a part of agile. That's true, but scrum is a framework that implements agile. Okay, so what's what is scrum now? So scrum is a lightweight framework and it contains a sprint. What is an sprint? So if we have to understand sprint, we have to see that like right now NHAI is making an highway like Delhi to Mumbai. Okay, Delhi to Mumbai highway. So they are not making it in one go. They have like divided the work and give it to different contractors. Okay, so in our case, how we'll see it is that we have divided our work in sprints. So this is sprint 1, this is sprint 2, this is sprint 3, and after each sprint there is some part which we can show it our client, and if the client is not happy, then we can change accordingly in the next sprint. Okay, so the motive of each sprint is that we should be ready with a product, like a part of product shipped. All right. So the types of agile, I mean, these are the frameworks. Okay, discover this. Now the kind of agile ceremonies are there. Again, this is a very famous question. Okay, so there is sprint planning. This is done on the day one of sprint, in which we decide that how, like what kind of user stories. And with this, I'm like one more important question comes to my mind, that the difference between epic versus user stories versus task. Okay, so epic is something which is like not a single epic is not fit into a single sprint. So we have to break and sprint into working user stories. So okay, and the users we make task to implement user stories, and user stories are completed to complete an epic. So so we have to understand it this way, that like epic contains user story and user story contains task. Okay, this is the difference between them. And in the like on the day one of sprint planning of the sprint, we do sprint planning, and in this what we used to do, we pick up user stories and like play poker. I mean by playing poker is that we estimate. Okay, estimation poker is the name of how we used to estimate it. Like different teams use different methodologies, but that's how we used to do. Okay, then the daily scrum, in which like what are the part of daily scrum, it is also called stand up, in which we have to tell like what I have completed since last meeting and what I'm working on, and is there anything that I'm blocked on, that I'm blocked with. Okay, so this is with daily scrum. After that, there's a sprint review, in which we see that what all we have done, and like is there any part of product which we can ship. And after that, we do retrospective, in which as the name suggests, we see what we have done good and what we can improve. Okay, or is there any blockers which we, not actually blockers, but what we can actually improve, and is there something on the like scrum master. Okay, so generally like scrum master do it. Okay, so this is it. And after that, we come to module 3, how we are going to like design the test cases, and we will see it like test case designing for a pen. But before that, let us try to understand what is a strategy, because this is also a very famous like interview question, defining the like define the difference between test strategy and test plan. So before that, let us see where we have seen test strategy. So test strategy comes here when when we are doing the requirement analysis. So here also we define the test strategy, like that an overall strategy that is defined by the project manager. Okay, and the test planning comes here. So let's see what's the difference between both of them. So this is a kind of high level design, and that gives us like QA deliverables and metrics. Okay. And coming to the test plan, so it defines what are the scope and activities that are going to be performed in the testing. Okay. And it also defines us the like objective and approach, which approach, like as we have seen earlier, that the test architect give us 3 4 different kind of approaches. And this we have to select one approach, and later on we can like change it also. But in case of a test strategy, like we cannot change. Okay, not change. And this is more specific, like specific to QA. And the test strategy document is for the whole organization level. Okay, so your upper management and everyone will look at the test strategy, but as a your QA manager or the QA team will prefer the test plan. Okay, so I hope you get the difference between both of them. And one more similar sounding term is test case. Okay, so test case designing, this comes in the third part of test case designing. So how we are going to design the test case? In this, we have to first tell, like, it all differs from organization to organization, but like here you can write the serial number, the test case ID, okay, and define the what kind of test case it is, like functionality, security, usability testing, then the description, okay, the steps which we are going to follow to replicate the test case, and the expected result. And if our product is not as expected, then it is going to fail. Otherwise, it is going to pass. Okay. And what extra we used to do it is that, like, if you are a guy of three, okay, if you have three QAs in your team, then you can write the QA name. Okay. So other metrics can include the bug ID also. So if it is a fail, then like write the bug ID here also. It will be more easy for you. Okay, so that's how we design a test case. And let us see how we can write a test case for a pen. So before writing, we have to see like what kind of test case type it is. So if it is a general test case, then we have to see what kind of grip are we like. Is the grip giving the enough grip and is able to hold the pen properly? Okay, and is it writing smoothly? The kind of ink flow, is the company logo like visible or not? If like I'm writing this, so or is it kind of this? So the width of the pen, okay, so this is this. Now on what kind of different variety of paper it can write? Can it refill, like, are is it able to refill, or does it has sharp edges or not? So these are like endless, not endless actually, but still, like, you can write at least 50 test cases for a pen itself, and it's better. Like, this is just an example, but like the most famous ones are for lift also. Okay, lift, car, or maybe a login page, or a security, like security page, or a payment page. So these are all the very famous questions on which the interviewer can ask you to write the test cases. Now coming to the negative test case, like what all negative scenarios which you can cover in a pen is that if you drown the pen in a water, so can it write? Or if you drop a pen from a height, so like is it able to write? So these are the negative test cases. And coming to the performance test case, like how fast the pen can write, and if you use it continuously for let's say 2 hours, so is it still writing, or is it like, so this is kind of performance and load testing. Okay, so that's it guys. I hope I was able to give you a rough idea about what you can expect. And believe me that this is like 80% or 90% of the syllabus. Apart from that, like the list is endless, as I have told you in the last part. But like if you can understand this properly, then I'm sure you can crack 80 to 90% of the manual interviews. Although nowadays the purely manual part is still like on a decline, but like just go through it and tell me like how was it, and whether you need any help in any topic. And later on I'm planning to make a separate video on certain topics like agile. So this was just to give you an idea, but later I'm going to make a separate video in which I'm going to tell you the agile in detail, because this will take at least like 1 to 2 hours of detailed explanation. Okay, so I hope like I was able to clear all your doubts. And guys, if you want me to make this video in Hindi, just let me know, okay? And if you found this video helpful, then please consider subscribing. That will really motivate me. So with this, signing off. Thank you.